Hello and welcome to the SWBN News Watch, where we report global events from a Christian perspective. I am Chimilachike. Thanks for joining us today. Now let's take a look at some of the major stories you need to hear about. The Christian Post reported that an international coalition of religious freedom advocates and organizations from across the political spectrum are calling on the United States Department to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern and appoint a special envoy to evaluate Christian persecution in the West African country. A coalition of 33 organizations and 35 individuals sent a letter to the United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken asking the Biden administration to redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern, a designation signifying governments that have engaged in or tolerated particularly severe violations of religious freedom. The letter calls for a special envoy to investigate the situation and make recommendations in consultation with local representatives. The letter comes as some human rights advocates have warned for years that predominantly Christian farming communities in the country's Middle Belt are often attacked by predominantly Muslim ethnic herders. Additionally, the presence of Islamic extremist groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State in northern Nigeria has pushed millions of people from their homes. The Nigerian government has denied that religious persecution is taking place, calling the violence responsible for thousands of deaths in recent years part of decades-old farmer-herder clashes. Moving on, CBN News reported that 5 Catholic priests, 1 religious sister and 2 lay people have been kidnapped by unknown gunmen after the attackers reportedly set a church building on fire in western Cameroon. The church burned to the ground. The Catholic bishops of the Bamenda Ecclesiastical Province released a statement strongly condemning the attack at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Chang, Manfe Diocese that Friday. The bishops strongly condemned all these attacks against the church and her ministers and appealed to the unknown captors to release them without further delay. The bishops went on to say that this act has now crossed the red line and the unknown assailants must be reminded that those who choose to fight against God never win. Stay with us for this short break. Larin House Fellowship is inviting you for a monthly discipleship program every second Wednesday of the month. Time is 5 p.m. Venue is Larin House Fellowship, Rehoboth College Hall, Pipeline Road, Ilorin. You can connect online via Zoom. Zoom ID is 870-5232-9212. 870-5232-9212. Passcode is 088114. 088114. Please use the same login details every month. Follow Larin House on Facebook, subscribe to Larin Fellowship on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. In what is suspected to be a glitch, Trips are calling on Twitter to restore Apostle Arome Osai's account. Twitter had suspended the minister's account, giving no reason for the action. Following this development, the Remnant Christian Network (RCN) has demanded that his account be released. Apostle Arome Osai is the founder of the Remnant Christian Network and has huge social media followers. Many believers are not taking his suspension lightly. Pastor Racine Irem with RCN told Twips that emails have been sent to Twitter support as there were no warnings that the account violated any of the rules on Twitter. He went on to ask Twips to trend hashtag Restore Apostle Arome until those on Twitter team pay attention. One tweet identified as Kayode Toluwani told Twitter to do this quick before we take your matter to the enclave of the spirit. At the time of this report, Twitter support was yet to make any response to any of the requests coming to them. Moving on, Vice President Yemi Osibanjo represented President Muhammadu Buhari at the funeral ceremony of the late Queen of England, Elizabeth II. During a media chat with journalists after attending the state funeral service of the late Queen of England at the Westminster Abbey, he told journalists that, quote, For countries like ours, for Nigeria, and for the Commonwealth, this has been very ennobling, very strengthening. Watch.
Okay, well, I think first, as you pointed out, a historic event, and one that is unlikely to happen perhaps in another lifetime. Just the sheer, just the sheer enormity of all that's happened, and the gathering of leaders from everywhere, the goodwill, the good wishes, and all of that from practically everywhere in the world. So I think that this has truly been, and I think it's a testament to the sort of person the Queen was. In life and death brought people together, and I think perhaps even more so in death, So for countries like ours, for Nigeria and for the Commonwealth, I think this has been very ennobling, very strengthening, and I'm sure that the King Charles himself felt somewhat, not just the honor of having so many people come by, but also the reassurance that there is a brotherhood across the world, and that the Commonwealth remains strong. Not this time, a Commonwealth of free nations who, willingly subscribe to coming together, to work together, to achieve sometimes disparate political objectives, but clear economic objectives. So this is excellent, and of course one wishes King Charles very, very well indeed. I mean, I think we're all anxious that he succeeds, and that he perhaps does even better than his mother, which is always the hope, I'm sure, of his mom. I'm sure that the Queen would really hope that that all her successors, and in this case King Charles, will do much better than she did. So we're all looking forward to a wonderful...
On censorship and suspensions, the Christian News reported that Mark Driscoll, a U.S. pastor, has been temporarily suspended from TikTok after one of his posts received several complaints from users. Driscoll took to Twitter to complain about his sanctions, saying this is, quote, what happens on TikTok when you say that men can't have babies, unquote. The image indicated he was banned until 22nd September from posting following multiple violations of TikTok's guidelines. Driscoll also accompanied his post with a Bible verse from Romans chapter 1, verse 18. Quote, for the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth, unquote. The 51-year-old pastor leads a weekly men's ministry which aims to build men up to be more like the true, real man, Jesus Christ. The group recently started a 9-week series titled Real Man Act Like a Man. In an Instagram post, he said, quote, in a world void of strong men and fathers, we want to build you up to bless women and children and transform legacies for generations to come, unquote. Away from that, in England, the Daily Mail reported that a maths teacher has been sacked after refusing to affirm a pupil's gender change because he wanted to first obtain the permission of the student's parents. Kevin Lister is taking legal action against his employers for unfair dismissal, claiming he is a victim of a witch hunt for challenging dangerous transgender ideology. He has been backed by campaigners as well as Tory MP Danny Kruger, who said he was very concerned because recent government guidance says that the teacher had been within his rights to apply caution. Mr. Lister, a teacher at a school in Swindon, had enjoyed an unblemished 18-year teaching career before he was dismissed for gross misconduct this month. He had refused to refer to a 17-year-old biological female student by their preferred male name and he or him pronouns in an A-level lessons. The 59-year-old teacher told the Mail on Sunday that he was concerned that the out-of-the-blue request amounted to social transition, which could put the teen on a pathway to irreversible medical treatments. He wanted to make sure that, quote, my student had parental support and was making an informed decision. As a parent myself, I would have been furious if my child had taken the step and I hadn't been told anything, unquote. Meanwhile, last month, Attorney General Suella Braverman said the law was clear that under-18s could not legally change their gender, meaning schools were under no legal obligation to address children by a new pronoun. On the entertainment bit, Christian Headlines reported that Kingston Studios announced the streaming debut of No Vacancy on Salem Now beginning September 23rd. No Vacancy is an inspirational motion picture based on a true story. The film follows a jaded reporter who finds her cynicism slowly transformed when she covers a news story about a church struggling to purchase a motel for homeless families while befriending an addict in the process. No Vacancy features Dean Cain, T.C. Stallings, and Sean Young. It is reported that No Vacancy had a successful theatrical debut nationwide through Phantom Events as the #3 highest per-screen average and #10 overall domestic box office on its release day. Moreover, Rob Ellis, general manager of Salem Now, told our news sources that, quote, we believe this film will inspire others to make a difference and bring hope to their own community, unquote. Still on this, Art Aries, a screenwriter, producer, and pastor, told Christian Headlines that after a number of local and even international news networks covered what our church was doing to help the homeless, we discovered we had a very unique story to tell. Our church is used to trying to do the impossible, so we made a film. Speaking powerfully about homelessness and addiction, the film sends a message to the church about what's possible when you trust in God, even in the worst circumstances. And that will be all for this edition of the SWBN News Watch. Thank you so much for staying with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe till we meet next Thursday, 9 p.m. I remain Chimela Chike. Stay tuned.